first topic that we are going to bring here is called as variables. Variables are called as memory holders to store the values. To store the values. Okay. Unlike in other programming languages, there is no necessary to declare the data type of the variable. So as a rookie, right, as a beginner, I will be little confused to understand what exactly a data type means. In general, if I want to store some data into a variable, first I need to tell to the compiler that what kind of data that I am going to store it. Okay, because based on the type, the compiler will allocate the space. The compiler will allocate the space to store the data. In Python, we no need to specify what type of data are we going to store. The way how you assign to the variable, okay, the compiler in the background will automatically assign enough space to store the data. So it is not our headache, that is the headache for the compiler. The compiler will see in what type of assignment you have been given the data to the variable. Based upon that, it will allocate some space. So typically how the diagram will be look like is, say suppose I want to store some data into my variable. Okay, so I'll call this main block as main memory block. This is going to called as main memory block. Suppose I want to add two numbers. Say like I want to add 10 and I want to add 20, and the sum of these two numbers should be stored in another place. So now in order to store these two variables, these two data, so I need to create two memory blocks. I need to create two containers to store the data. Okay, so the containers will be like this. So I'm going to store data into two containers, and I would like to call these two containers as variable spaces. Okay, so whenever I'm going to create a space in my main memory block, it is mandatory for me to assign some name. So if I want to call some person in the world and the public, I should call by his name. Then only that particular person can able to acknowledge my request, either by look towards me or he's going to nod his head. So it means that there should be a proper name assigned to the particular variable. So the name to this memory block that I'm going to give here is called as A, and the name that I'm going to give to this memory block called as B. Now A and B are the two variables where we don't have any data assigned to it. So now what I want to do, I want to assign some data into this memory block. So how can I assign? To assign some data into the memory block, I want to use a operator called equal to, which is going to called as assignment operator. So when I'm going to create a variable, I should assign some value. That assignment will be taken care by a operator called assignment operator called equal to. Here I'm going to place the value called 10. Here I'm going to place a value called 20. Okay. Now I'm going to create a one more block here called as, I want to store the sum of A and B here, right? So that I'm going to call this memory block as result. So result, what I'm going to store? Again, I'm going to store a number. What number? The sum of A and B. The sum of A and B. Here I'm going to print. I told you, right, if I want to call any person in the world, I should call by his name. So I want to see the value that is available inside my variable called result. So to see the value, I should call the name of the variable. Okay, print of result. Now this one is going to give me the output as 30. So it means that if I want to store any value into a variable, I just want to create a variable, use my assignment operator and allocate some data. So automatically Python will understand, yes, the data given by Pratap is an integer. The data that is given by the Pratap is a string. So how we are going to be assigned is going to be matter here. Okay. So now let's see how to declare and initialize a value to a variable inside your Python. So now let's go here. I'm going to create a new directory called as variables. I'm going to create a new Python file called as variables introduction. So as I said you that to store any data, first of all, I need to create a variable. So how can I create a variable? Just use your variable A is equal to 10. That's it. Your variable has been created here. So in Python, right, it always demand to give a space after a variable and give a space after your assignment for better readability. B is equal to 20. So now my result is equal to, what is my result? Sum of A plus B. Okay. Now let me use my print of result. So now let me run this variable intro. Now see the answer can able to view here on your console. So this is a basic introduction program that we brought into your variables. So like this, what type of data I can able to store inside my variable? What kind of data that I can able to store? Okay, we'll see that.
If you like the video, please like and subscribe and click on bell icon.